Hello YouTube world. Today we have yet another video. This time we'll be going over the stock Krogers, Kroger. They're going for $71.36 a share. At the closing mark, they're up 1.26, and at the hour mark, they're down 0.46. Um, And yes, they do pay a dividend yield of 1.56. Uh, Kruger is a food company. I believe they are owned by one of the examples is QFC, and they also pay a dividend. I believe every 3 months, but I'm not exactly sure. But this is one of the stocks that I've seen that are pretty much one of the ones I wanted to look at. So let's dive right into it. Even though it's Sunday after hours, but you can kind of still have like a general idea of how the market is moving. So a little bit later on today or maybe tomorrow, when the market's open, you will see that this is above the green line here, and that's something that you always want to pay attention to, because if it's anywhere down here in this area which becomes red, that means the stock isn't doing too well, and they're pretty much rebooting or like recounting the numbers that it did for that day or for that month. Now let's take a look for the week. Even though it's the month just started, where we like the second, third day in the month, but as you can see, even with these tariffs, I guess you just got to find which are beneficial to the tariffs and which aren't, right? And as you can see, good perhaps, Kroger, which is ran by, I believe, Safeway and QFC, they seem to have somewhat of a benefit through this tariffs, right? Now, let's see what it looks like for the next month. A quick guide right here, how it drops below the 70, and it may not show a positive results, but let's go ahead and just take a look. Yeah, reason being is because there's no real power or no real buying right here, which caused it to, take a dip for the after hours that it says right here. And so perhaps after this, after the prediction, it could take well, I really didn't know anything about that, but at the same time, I just kind of like go there for food and different things. So, man, that sucks that it is happening. But perhaps, but congratulations on working with them guys. I go in there all the time. Oh, that'd be great. It's always good for some changes. But again, there's, the bottom line and then the top line is basically this big box right here. And whatever is in the middle is pretty much the determined factor of how the stock's going to move. Now, perhaps for the next year, yes, as you can see, that it's above the 63 mark, and that middle line right here, it's kind of naked to the eye if you don't know, but this is pretty much all you need to pay attention to right there. Let's take a look for the next 2 years. As you can see, it pretty much went through the dip in the previous, And so only thing it's going to do right here is just continue to go up, reboot, right? And that's just the line that you want to pay attention to, you know, right there, right there in the middle. Yeah, I know things is going on this time, right? But hopefully, and it should get better. So as you can see right here, that little small mark above this middle line, is pretty much what you want to pay attention to. And always remember, green is to buy, red is to sell. A lot of people hold them for a long time because it accumulates compound interest and dividends, but a lot of that stuff can take a while, right? At least every once a year. A compound interest grows once a year. Yeah, you're absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. Hopefully, like sometime in the future, I can do the same thing. But, I just 10 toes down, feeling ground up, and always right here. It pretty much don't matter what kind of graph, if it's any kind of thing, as long as you always remember this middle line right there, it's pretty much the determining factor, you know, pretty much so. Yeah, Apple stock is a good stock too, but anything above like $100, $200, even though it has a strong, but I like doing cheap stocks. I try to like, $71.36. I try to like keep everything low if I can buy more shares. I think that's the only way it could work. Now the overall performances, you see how it's way up here in the corner, and all this is down here, which really don't matter because all this is strong buying power right there. You see that? So if you've got a couple dollars, you know, it's always good to invest your money, letting your money work for you. That way, you don't have to always work all the time. Um, yeah, just keep working, just keep doing what you can, keep saving your money. But the best thing to do is to invest. Home Depot and everything. I would like to say thanks for tuning in. Until the next video, let me show y'all something real quick. You see, yeah, so whenever you see all this right here, that's what I like to look at, you know. So, no diggity, no doubt. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, keep up the good work, keep on investing.